celebrando 2020, ¿ok? 20 años de la invención de la cámara IP. ¿Y por qué estamos celebrando esto? Porque finalmente nosotros somos los inventores de la cámara IP. Y este año se cumplen los 20 años de que iniciamos con esto. Cuando todo el mundo decía, están locos, esto no va a funcionar. Nosotros seguimos y aquí estamos. Con una muy buena posición en el mercado, una gran cantidad de productos y muchas cosas que vienen, ¿ok? Entonces, bueno, empezamos. Como les decía, la cámara IP fue inventada septiembre, ¿no? Septiembre del
16 al 96.
Septiembre 16 de 1996 es la fecha en que se lanzó la primera cámara IP. Y de hecho, esta es la primera cámara IP que se lanzó. ¿Okay? Esto es un cuadro cada 17 segundos. Esa es la tasa de resolución que tenía esta cámara. The resolution was
0.1 megapíxel.
Es 0.1 de megapíxel lo que tenía esta cámara. Y esto era para red. Este fue el primer lanzamiento que se hizo de acá. Sí, en un momento se las paso para que la puedan ver. Un poco pesada, por cierto. Entonces, por eso estamos hablando de los 20 años. Ahora, decimos que nosotros inventamos la primera cámara IP, eso es cuestión del pasado. ¿Qué hay en el presente? Desde 1996 no hemos dejado de innovar. Si ustedes han estado en otras conferencias con nosotros, sabrán que uno de nuestros principales pilares estratégicos es la innovación. Y el siempre estar a la vanguardia, no solamente en productos, sino en tecnología, y en la combinación de ambos. Por lo tanto, en 96 se lanza la primera cámara, 2015 lanzamos productos que son complementarios a nuestras soluciones de videovigilancia. Lo que estamos haciendo es generar soluciones más completas, soluciones integrales de seguridad. ¿Okay? Y aquí pueden ver todo lo que hemos hecho. Entre los más relevantes, en el 2010 lanzamos la primera cámara térmica de red y una tecnología que ha sido muy premiada en 2011, que es Light Finder. ¿Okay? Estas son algunas, por mencionar algunas de las tecnologías más importantes y de las innovaciones que hemos hecho en los últimos años. Pero ¿qué sigue? Presente. Una gran tendencia en la industria es el Internet de las cosas. Finalmente, nuestra cámara es un accesorio y es una parte de la red. Entonces, todo lo que viene relacionado con cybersecurity, con dispositivos conectados a la red, pues cae perfectamente bien aquí. De hecho, si nos remontamos a esas fechas, con esta primera cámara, ya éramos pioneros en conectar productos a la red, cuando en ese tiempo todavía no se usaba. Pues bueno, estamos siendo posicionados como un líder emergente en el segmento de Internet de las cosas. ¿Okay? ¿Qué viene? Son algunos números que probablemente tengan registrados. En 2014 lanzamos alrededor de 45 productos. En 2015 lanzamos más o menos 90 productos. Y como ustedes bien saben, y han estado presentes en las expos, no es que pintemos uno de blanco y uno de rojo y ya tenemos dos productos. Cuando lanzamos producto, quiere decir que estamos en un desarrollo tecnológico. Hay toda una serie de factores detrás, tanto de procesamiento como de ingeniería, como de imagen, en toda la reinvención de productos cada año. 2016, les dije que estamos festejando 2020. Apenas acaba de terminar el primer trimestre del año 2016 y estamos lanzando en esta feria 20 productos nuevos. ¿Okay? Pues bueno, esa es parte de toda esta dinámica de innovación y seguir siendo los líderes en el mercado como lo hemos sido hasta ahora.
Let's start with our fixed dome portfolio. The first thing we're refreshing is our M30 series portfolio. And this is quite exciting. This is in our M portfolio, which is in our affordable portion of our portfolio, as we call it. We are releasing cameras now that are between 720p and 4 megapixel. This is up from our prior 3 megapixel max. So we have a model in this series that is at 4 megapixel. We are now much more powerful in the processing power in the camera. So we can support what's called zipstream technology. Zipstream is a complete separate discussion. I'm not going to cover it in this presentation, but I would encourage you to come up to our booth so we can explain what that is. Because it can save up to 75% on storage and bandwidth, which are critical factors when designing a system. We now include wide dynamic range at 120 decibels on these products. We have something interesting, HDMI out. So there's a micro HDMI out on these cameras. Now, why do you want HDMI out? Because sometimes in the retail industry, when you talk about gas stations and convenience stores, you may want what's called a public view monitor. So it's a monitor that's connected to the camera that gives a view of people walking in to show that you are under surveillance. Plus, we think that people can do many creative things with HDMI which we can't think of, so we're now introducing that as an option in our mini dome portfolio. Because we have more processing power, we're also adding more ACAP capability. So what is ACAP? ACAP is our capability to run apps inside the camera. Just like you have apps on an iPhone or apps on an Android. These are small applications that enhance the product, such as analytic, like a people counter, or a cross-line detection. But it could also do other things. It could be health monitoring. You can do many different things with these onboard apps. And we have a partner network of over 80 partners that develop apps for the Axis cameras. And our installers are going to love this, because the old generation was the camera with a cable coming out and then the network connector. We've now been able to make the camera smaller on the inside, where we now have a normal computer jack, RJ45 jack, to plug in cables. So no more what we used to call pigtails hanging out of the camera. And this has been a big feedback from our installers, and we finally was able to put that on to the product. And what you will see here is I'll have the green text, which will show what's common between the products, and then the blue, which is what's unique between the different series. The next one is a brand new series called the M31. We call these flat face cameras. So a flat face camera is something in between a fixed box and a mini dome. It has a flat face on the front of the camera, which allows a perfect use of IR illumination with lens. Because when you put IR lights inside a dome like this, sometimes it will reflect back on the lens, and you get what looks like solar flares in the image. By separating the IR LEDs on each side of the lens and having a flat surface, we eliminate this problem. So the M31 will have 3 resolutions, 720p, 1080p, and then Quad HD. Has anybody heard of Quad HD? What that means? Quad HD is a true industry standard in HD TV. If we know 4K, everybody's heard of 4K video, right? 4K is 4 times 1080p. So if I know that, what is 4 times 720p? Quad HD. So it's another step by following the industry standard of HD TV. So the true path for resolution is 720p to 1080p to Quad HD to 4K. But I don't have 4K in this portfolio. I just want to explain how the resolutions climb up in the ladder. Again, more processing power in these cameras, so we have zipstream technology. We have a higher level of wide dynamic range called forensic capture, which again we can explain and show to you up in our booth. These cameras come in outdoor and indoor versions, which means there's 6 total models, 720p, 1080p, Quad HD, indoor and outdoor. 6 total models. We also have room for apps in these cameras as well, applications. And we have integrated IR lights. And integrated IR lights are becoming a higher and higher demand. So this is our answer to the market. And now I'm going to switch to the other end of my portfolio, which is the very, very well-featured, high-grade, fully loaded cameras. This is the Q series. In the Q series, we always introduce the latest technology, and then it finds its way into the rest of the portfolio. The Q36 is a very interesting mini dome. It looks like a PTZ, but it's not a PTZ. It's a PTZR. What does that mean? That means that it's a mini dome that has very small motors to rotate the lens, to turn the lens, and to tilt the lens, to perfectly install the camera or change the field of view later. Okay, so if something changes in the scene, you can move this camera. This is not for active investigations. The motors are not strong enough to be used like a PTZ. This is simply an installation aid or to change the position over time if needed. So it's a rather big camera because I had to put motors in it, but it's not as big as a PTZ, it's a bit smaller. This is also something that very high-end installations have asked for because they may have 6 months of the year in a manufacturing factory. They produce something over here. And then 6 months later, they're going to move production and do something different in the factory over here. But they want to use one camera so they can slowly move and reposition the camera. And to change it twice a year, this the motors can handle. This the motors can do. Just not every day, every minute movement. Of course, because it's a high processing product, we go to 1080p up to 6 megapixel. We of course, then because it's high resolution, we want zip stream to compress better. We of course offer the forensic capture, the best possible wide dynamic range. Again, apps, standard, and electronic image stabilization. So electronic image stabilization means that when you're in a factory or on a bridge or on a light pole and there's wind vibration, certain megahertz, the camera will adjust so you get a steady field of view. And the way we do that is if I give you a full 1080p and you turn on EIS, it will slightly shrink the image and then it will float around in this window to adjust to the wind conditions. So it's a digital way of adjusting for vibration. And why is that important? Well, of course, because of evidence and good video, but also because of bandwidth. Because anytime a camera shakes, all pixels change and it uses a lot of bandwidth. So last year, Axis got into multi-sensor cameras, and we're now growing that portfolio. So first, last year, we released the Q3709, which was 3 times 4K, 180-degree camera, 3 lenses. Now, we're releasing the little sister, the Q3708, which is Quad HD, or 5 megapixel, you can choose depending on how you want that displayed. Zip stream technology, wrong button. Zip stream technology, because with high resolution, we want to save compression and data. Wide dynamic range, the bigger 4K camera did not have this, so we're introducing wide dynamic range. It's true day-night, which means it has the IR cut filter. And we can, of course, support ACAPS or onboard analytics or other applications of this camera. So the major improvements on this is, yes, we went down in resolution, but we went up in compression capability, we went up in wide dynamic range and day-night. So you have to choose in your installations. Next, we have a brand new P3707. This camera is a unique concept. You can get either 720p or 1080p out of the same camera. So you choose out of the camera which resolution you want. And the big change is frame rate, 30 frames per second or 15. Zip stream technology, fully adjustable, including corridor format and ACAP. And let me explain what fully adjustable means. That all four lenses in this camera can move and tilt and adjust and point in any direction that you want. So, if you want a 360 configuration, you put them in each corner and you aim them the way you want. If you put it on an outside corner of a building and you only want 270 degrees, then you can move the lenses and have one look straight down while the other three do 180. So you choose how you want to use this camera. It's completely, fully adjustable on all the lenses, and they can move around inside this camera. And the bubble is specially designed so it curves and then is flat in the middle. So it has perfect what's called L value. And L value is distance between bubble and lens. And if that's perfect all the time, you get optimal image quality. So we took a lot of attention, we paid a lot of attention to the image quality on the bubble on this. Now we're going to go into thermal cameras. So Axis introduced almost 6 years ago the first thermal network camera. And now, of course, competition is catching up, but we keep going. So we have a new, better sensor, which is in thermal cameras called a bolometer. It's not called a sensor. Higher sensitivity, lower noise, which means better image quality. It has our latest processor, ARTEC-5, which means we can see better contrast in the distance for long range. We have electronic image stabilization, and we've really gone aggressive on the market. We want thermal cameras to be used more than just high-end installations. The difference between a thermal camera and an optical camera is that the thermal camera is for detection, not identification. So the perfect design is to combine the thermal camera with a normal optical camera. So optical camera is for identification and recognition, and the thermal camera is for absolute detection, because it can see people behind trees and bushes and those types of things. Another category that's new for Axis is explosion proof. Sometimes, or I should say explosion resistant. Nothing is proof. What explosion resistant means is, sometimes people think it means that if there is an explosion, the camera survives. That's not what it means. It means that the camera is in a special enclosure, so the electricity inside the camera does not ignite or trigger an explosion if there are gases in the area, like on an oil rig or in a gas chemical plant. So when you do this, you have to place them in very, very tight and certified sealed enclosures. And that's what explosion resistant products means, or explosion protected. This with a partnership with a company called Oxalis, which is now owned by Eaton. The reason we did not do this at first is because we did not have the full expertise to make these enclosures. And we did not carry the required global insurance policies to hold the risk. But Oxalis are experts at this, and Eaton now that owns them, they hold all those necessary components, which means it's Axis on the inside and Oxalis on the outside. One which has a full PT head, and one which is just the unit itself, and it comes with a full series of also explosion protected accessories like a water tank, because you see the wiper on the camera, power supply cabinet, which is also explosion rated, explosion rated cabling that holds the cabling, and of course mounting hardware. Next, we're going to talk about the network video door station. So we released the door station last year. It's a pretty big unit, and the number one complaint from the market is, why is it so big? Well, it was vandal resistant, it was outdoor rated, it was our first product, we had to learn somehow. But we immediately took the feedback and turned around quickly to modify with a much smaller version of the door station called the A8105. This is a product that's 3-in-1. It's a clear two-way communicator. It's very small and fits very nice on the door frame. We have active echo cancellation for best and optimal audio capability, noise reduction. We have 1080p with all the benefits of image quality that's required in a camera. It has a wide-angle lens, so it is listed for handicapped applications. It will see below the camera. So if you have somebody in a wheelchair rolling up, it is rated for those types of handicapped applications. And the unit can be the door opener, meaning you push the button, you are verified who you are, you can communicate, and the door gets opened remotely, controlled through a software interface. So this compares the two units that I have today, which is the small 8105 and the 8004 unit. Again, for outdoor, rugged applications, and then for more indoor and smaller applications. The thing that I want to explain about this is not for apartment buildings. This is not a one-to-many solution. What that means is it's not something that you put at one door and you can bring many different people through. This is a many-to-one deployment, which means you have many doors with these that go to a central station or a central guard who lets you in. So you have to think a little bit reverse, that this is not a residential application. This is a commercial application that goes to a guard in the central station. But this is the Axis companion line. The companion line is an Axis strategy to get into the small market business. This is something that our salespeople should not necessarily be selling, but installers who are focused on small deployments should be able to install very quickly and very rapidly. Okay? It is apps and software that works on tablets and laptops. But the only time you use the software is for setup, for viewing the video and retrieving the video. You do not need a server or software permanently running on these devices, because we're going to have a small recorder. We're going to have a small PoE network switch. And we're going to have cameras that look like cameras in the rest of our portfolio, but they're designed and priced specifically to this platform. So first, we have an 8-channel network video recorder with a built-in PoE switch. It has a 2 or 4 terabyte option for hard drive. It has 8 PoE ports, 1 local area network connectivity. We have an external power supply that plugs into power. We have already power budgeted the unit for the new products. It's compact with no fan, which means the heat design is very smart in this little device, so there's no serviceable parts in it. We have a 3-year warranty, and we have a USB slot on the side, which you can plug in the USB drive and export video very easily. We're also releasing a very small switch, a power over Ethernet switch. So you may say, well, what's special about a little switch? There's a million of these switches on the market, but there's no white ones. Just kidding. The unique part about this switch is that it has 60-watt PoE, which means that if you wanted to use the companion light cameras with this, but you wanted one PTZ, one PTZ, and that PTZ requires high PoE, you can use this little switch to power the PTZ as well. So for a little switch like this, it produces a lot of power on the PoE, which is very unique for this particular platform. So this allows a user to complement the small system with one powerful PTZ if he wanted to. So there's an option there.